What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and I want to come to you guys today with a video about the new Memoria and a little bit of like Memoria in general. Maybe just like a good practice when it comes to just general Memoria farming use and etc. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's talk about the new Memoria and just Memoria as a whole, because I'm a big fan of the way some of these Memorias work over others. And I've been very picky because a lot of times, even when, with us whaling, there are a lot of times where you've got to choose what Memorias you want to upgrade and what you want to save on. So, when it comes to this Memoria, you can actually go over here and upgrade it. At full tilt, we get attack damage 6% for wind, earth, and water for turns 6 to 10. 6% is substantial. It actually works really well. Here's the thing, and the big thing you want to consider in this. I'm a big fan of late game buffs because in most of your events, your Wrecker Busters, not Wargame, obviously Wargame's a whole different animal, but Wrecker Busters, Familia Rush, things like that, usually what you're doing is you're coming in for a really quick, I guess, attack boost. So basically the way you can look at this is something like this be for like a Familia event, because you're really looking for that big like attack buff after you do all of your buffs on turn like 6 or 7 or whatever. Then that's going to give you like that 6% extra damage after all your buffs are applied and things like that. It's really handy. This would also be pretty good on Wrecker Buster, but in my opinion, something like not this. Where was it? Yeah, something like this. All party strength. This goes up to 6%, turns 8 to 15. This is perfect for Wrecker Buster. Because remember, like turn 9, 10, 11, that's where you're actually doing your big buffs. That's where you're going to be applying like Harahime's buff or whatever have you. Your team gets all their buffs. Your team does 90% of the damage from that turn going on. So for me, that's where I'd rather have my buffs. There are even some like EX missions and things like that where a lot of that really comes into play. But you do have to think of the mode of gameplay. So we're coming down here, we're looking at elemental buffs turns 6 to 10. After giving this a decent amount of contemplation, I really kind of feel like that is probably better for like a Familia event. That is going to be something that's going to buff a team and really kind of take them to the next level in that like critical last couple of turns, like turns 7 to 10 or whatnot, where you're doing the vast majority of your damage on like a Familia event. So really that's kind of what that's geared more towards. Whereas if we go to some of these really early ones where they give you all your buffs right up front, turns 1 to 5, that's actually going to be more for like Wargame. So you want to kind of think of what Memoria you've got in each situation. So as much as I do like this on the surface, notice it's only 6 turns. It's turns 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's just 5 turns. 5 turns. Because that's how math works. It's only 5 turns. And I feel like that's kind of low if I'm totally honest. Because going back here and referencing this one is for 7 turns. 8 to 15, that is 2 extra turns that you get more bang for buck. Now, here's the deal. Obviously, you're not going to be able to use this all the time. A lot of these are geared towards different types of events. So it really comes down to what are you doing this for and what is your end goal. But I kind of feel like you get more bang for your buck out of that. But then again, if your event doesn't go 15 turns, like what this is geared towards, then it is kind of wasted. Now, the real nice part of this, the wind, earth, and water teams right now are off the chain. Those units are those teams, they're wild. So if you really are looking for one to upgrade, this is an excellent choice. This definitely would be one of my top picks, specifically for what they do for the current meta and, the attack, I guess, radius as far as turn order goes. But in my honest opinion, nothing is quite hit the same way as, where was it? I have to go back here, remember which one it is. Is it that one? That's thunder damage. What's thinking that's 6 to 10? This one, right here. This has been probably one of my favorites up to this point. All party SA gauge charge gain. This goes up to 6%. It's on turn 6 only. This is rarely not useful. Like Wargame would be the only time this isn't useful. I've used this probably more than anything else, and it was one of the ones that I actually super underrated when I dropped. And then when I realized like how many events it works in, like it really became one of my go-tos, one of my favorites. And a lot of times it's been the difference between getting off maybe 5 essays versus 6 essays. Like it has made a significant impact in some of my teams. So something like this definitely like is almost always a go-to for me, because you know, SAs equal the biggest kind of damage modifier you can get. So getting an extra SA can make or break a score. It's really, really, really nice. Not going to say it's going to be useful all the time, but it is useful most of the time. Now, going back down here, I do like this. I like the teams it's on. 610 isn't bad, especially considering there are some Familia events where you can, or sorry, from some Wrecker Busters where you could do your buffs right out of the gate. You could do buffs like super early and they never get wiped out. It's kind of nice. So for an event like that, this would be best, then also coupled with something that did the elemental buff turns, 8 to 15. Because then you'd have 2 turns where it's overlapping all those buffs. I don't think we have any elemental ones. I think it's only strength and magic that do that. But nevertheless, you kind of see my point. So honestly, I put this probably on an A tier. But then again, I'm maybe underrating that significantly because it is. I'm gonna move it up to S, just because of the teams that it's bolstering. I think it's fantastic. It's a good choice of your utilities, your upgrade items, and things like that. I just think all around it's a fantastic option for most every player currently in the game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. I know this is one of those that's going to be maybe popular with some people and unpopular with others because you don't have the teams. The Anniversary Water team from last year has still, and I mean to date, still shown their worth in a lot of situations. They've been, because I'm lazy, they've been my go-to for 7th Zone. They still crash any 7th Zone event. They just walk in and just wreck house and then leave. Yes, the new teams are faster, but I don't have to build a new team yet, so it's, yeah, my inner laziness is just fine. Like, I can just auto-run it and walk away, and for the last year, I've been able to, year and change, almost year and a half, I've been able to do that. So, there is something to be said for that. But as for new events, this is a bolster even for that team that's going to be really phenomenal, because 7th Zone, I do all my buffs on turn 7, so basically turn 7 through 10, we're going to be getting even more damage. It actually might be a turn earlier that I can finish this off. So that's another reason why this would be just a really high-end Memoria in comparison to others. Now, if we do want to talk about this, there's strength, and we have now magic that does turn 8 to 15. I like these, but the biggest drawback to them, these I would put really, really highly on my list. The biggest drawback to them is it does kind of limit only to use in Wrecker Buster and longer EX events like the ones we had most recently. Those where the damage is all late game, that's where these are really going to shine. Other than that, they're practically useless in Wargame. Definitely useless in Familia Wargame. Most Familia events are kind of over with by the time that it would enact. So while I did initially put these really highly, I'm going to kind of take them down a rank, because the more I thought about it, the more I kind of like began to question it. If you guys want to see a full tier list, I'll sit down and I'll make a tier list of all the Memoria, which ones are better for your upgrade items and things like that. But I'm just spitballing thoughts right now since we have new Memoria. But definitely if you have upgrade items, this is not a bad choice. In fact, probably one of the better choices out there. But the more I think about it, I will come back and I will do that tier list. We'll probably try to drop that here shortly, just so you guys can kind of get an idea of what you want to upgrade, because we have a lot of new players in the game who may or may not be more versed in how this works, and so maybe a deeper dive would be good. But nevertheless, new Memoria, good choice. Probably not optimal, but I don't think optimal is going to happen for maybe months. We probably will not see anything that like overlaps this for quite a bit of time. And they've got a lot of other elements that still need this this boost. So let me know what you thought in the comments section down below. Like, comment, share. We'll drop that other video coming up really soon. Stay tuned for that.